Hi everybody, this is Dennis Wilborn, founder of Active Trend Trading. Thank you for taking the time to watch this free video that we do every week. It is a video where we cover the markets. We also have oftentimes have some trades that we might be setting up that you might want to take. But I want to ask you, before you leave the page, as you watch the video, just give us a real quick thumbs up and share the content with somebody else. Leave us a comment. We'd really appreciate that. So aloha, God bless, and mahalo.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Dennis Wilborn. I want to welcome you to this afternoon's session. Just after the markets closed, the Art and Science of Active Trend Trading update. Those of you joining us on Facebook, welcome. And if you do me a favor, please like and also share the content of our webinar. We'll keep it short, sweet, to the point, so that you can get on with your busy day. Paying attention to your time is very important to us, and being respectful of that. Let's go and get into the session. Again, as just a reminder, what this is basically the art and science of active trend trading. And what we do during this time session is we try to provide some update on what's going on in the market. I want to remind everybody that all the materials we do present are for trading purposes only. Traders should always paper trade any new method prior to the risk of their own personal capital. The Active Trend Trading Company is basically, which I founded, is about clarify and simplify so that we can all multiply the capital that we're working with, and basically appreciate our God-given ability to generate wealth. And so if you have the tools to do that, then you can start working towards that goal and that objective. Art and Science of Active Trend Trading. Here's what we're going to do today. Basically take a real quick look at the market technicals, tracking index update, potential setups on HQY, and then other market driving events that may be coming up. Not a whole lot going on this week. It is a regular 5-day session. Next week is a 4-day session with, of course, Monday of next week being the celebration of Martin Luther King's birthday. Tech tips. The tech tip for today is basically, remember that stock analysis is multidimensional. A lot of times we get locked into just thinking about price action, all that kind of stuff, and we fail to recognize that there's other dimensions to the analysis. There's time. There's projections of how the cycle time of a particular move, because stocks, ETFs, indexes, they all move basically in cycles. And so being aware of the cycle time is very, very important. We'll take a look at a couple of charts to take care of that. Because if we remember that stock analysis is multi-dimensional, it allows us to maintain our situational awareness. I know that when I used to fly for the Navy, we would talk all the time about situational awareness. And you talk about something where you have to do analysis in multi-dimension. We certainly did when we were launching off and recovering on board the carriers. Here's a squadron I used to fly with, VA-25, or now it's VFA-25, but we used to fly A-7s. And so when I say, I used to deliver bombs for a living, but anyway, that's beside the point. Then I went into construction, and the rest is history from there. But maintaining situational awareness, you have to think in multi-dimensions. I want to remind everybody that, one, where are we at in the years? If we're looking at seasonality with the indexes, typically the first 3 months of the year, a little bit slow going, and then the NASDAQ in particular starts to get a bid. The chart on the Russell and S&P look a lot like this. One of the things I want to keep an eyeball on right now is that normally in this time of year, you get a pullback in oil into the latter part of February and then a bounce from there. We'll see if that seasonality works its way out. Clearly, actually, oil had done a really great sell-off and basically followed its seasonality. And so I don't know what people were freaking out about. I mean, oil did what you'd expect it to do during the seasonality pullback. And there's the old Aviator right there, standing in front of a P-40, one of my favorite aircrafts. Here's how we did last year. Really, really pleased with that. Every year, the active trend trading, we shoot for a 60% win-loss ratio. I look for my target objective is 40% return for the year. I trade a $100,000 marginable account. And over the past years, we have basically generated 31% since 2012 on a yearly basis. Some of the highlights that I want to talk to people about really quickly is basically the composite list of January 2011. What I do is I basically go through every one of the 13 premium IBD lists on the weekend. I sort through that. I see which of the lists have basically shown up on multiple lists, and then I basically combine that back into a watch list so that and then share it with people who are active trend traders. And there's two different levels of active trend traders. We like to welcome everybody to active trend trading as at least a free newsletter member. And to do that, you get to take advantage of, you get 3 top-notch growth stock watch list when you subscribe, and you get emailed and told where to find that on the website. You just have to go to activetrendtrading.com, member login up, and I will basically, let me see if I have that up real quick. It'll take us a second to get that up. There we go. I'll roll this over here. Just go to activetrendtrading.com. And then go up here where it says member login. Click on member login, and it takes you right to this space. If you're a member, that's where you do your login. It's self-explanatory. If you're not a member but want to take advantage of all of these watch lists that I basically sort through on a weekly basis, just fill in here. For doing that, I will send you once a month. I am looking for alerts for things that we're buying, and so that's my way of saying thanks for those of you who sign up, even as a free member. So that's what we have. And so, as always, trade wisely, profitably, and welcome to 2019. Let's take a look at that technical aspect that we were chatting about earlier. I want to go over here. Timing. Timing is one of the things that we do not take a lot of, most traders don't take a lot of consideration of timing. And so what happens when we don't consider timing? Well, what happens is we get ourselves what I call, we're premature with our expectations. We may have our favorite technicals and favorite technicals and our favorite indicators and all that kind of stuff, but oftentimes we'll over-anticipate what they're doing. And so when we learn how to take advantage of time also, it provides us a great opportunity to say, okay, here, I'm going to be calm, I'm going to be patient, I'm going to wait. Sometimes for some of us, that's a hard thing to do. I'm going to wait for the convergence of clues and wait for this potential cycle to be over. So what's one way to do that? Well, let's take a look here at Tesla. Tesla's a good example. And on Tesla, on the Thinkorswim charts, they have a very excellent tool. It's called the Fibonacci time extensions. And what I want to do is I just want to pick out a couple of highs and lows here. But instead of going to the price action, you can do it on the price action. You can also do it on your indicators. So with the TSI, the technical or the True Strength Index, we know that when the TSI crosses to the upside, that's typically a sign to buy. So we'll consider that a bottom. And I just click on that, and I go over here to the extent, okay, where did it top out at? Well, I find where it topped, which is approximately right there. And then where did it bottom out again at and then turn back up, which was about right there. So that gives me one set of data points, and it does a Fibonacci extension of time across into the future to say, okay, this is when we expect this to happen. Let me go here and just make sure that I am, in fact. Yeah, there we go. Okay, set as default. There we go. Now, what I want to do, I'm also concerned, I also want to have information about where did my tops top out at, if you will. So I go back and then I go back to this initial area where the first top is. I click on that. I start drawing my lines from there. And the extension happens all on its own. Go to where we've hit the bottom. And I come back up here to where we hit the top. And then I start noticing something. Okay, where are we getting, excuse me, getting indication that something may reverse. And I can actually do one more of these, which is from about right there, up to here, back down to here. And as you can see, I'm gonna get rid of some of the noise here, because I'm interested in, well, where are we? Are we close to a time period where the indicator, it could turn back over and fall? And sure enough, as I go back through here and I start just clicking out and getting rid of some of these other less, well, I won't say less important, but just ones that I'm not interested, because they've already passed. So there's no reason to keep our eye on it other than just to say, hey, yeah, it worked really well. We see that the turnovers start happening. Here's the 100% extension, which happened last Friday on Tesla. And isn't it interesting today? And so what this was telling us is, what this is forecasting, if you will, is that from a mathematical standpoint, here is the point where we could expect a turnover. And what this was saying was there's somewhere between the 11th, let me show you that. Just watch your date up here as I stream this along. Somewhere between the 11th, which is right there on that first dark line right there, and the next line over, which turns out to be is actually today. So there was two lines in convergence there saying, okay, sometime between those 2 days is a high probability point that Tesla is going to reverse. And so we look at today's candlestick of Tesla, and sure enough, Tesla proceeded to reverse back down to the downside. Then I want to add to, but is it ready to take a short trade on it, on Tesla right now? And the answer to that is, probably not. But the reason why is the time extension basically gave us a forecast. Now, when we look out here, what might happen over here on about 123 towards the end of the month? Well, that may be a good point for a potential, if it maintains symmetry on its pullback, that might be an area where it would reverse and go back the other way. So now you have additional information. And if you're kind of in no man's land here, in between the indicators, you just say, you know what? I don't have to take a trade here. Because one, I think it has more upside. And from a time extension standpoint, from a mathematical standpoint, this is where it will probably run out of gas. And sure enough, in this particular case, ran out of gas actually after Friday. And so let's get rid of all of this. Let's get the other thing I want to be looking at now is, what's my additional confirmation? Well, my additional confirmation is, I'll just slap all that stuff out of the way, is the TSI on a daily basis crossing to the downside. What does that tell us? What does that indicate to us? Well, what that indicates to us is that the momentum has now shifted back down to the downside. As we can see here, when we compare what's happening over here on a daily chart to what's happening over here on a weekly chart, that, on a weekly chart, all we had was a TSI squeeze. That's what it's appearing to be. We're not absolutely sure, because why? Because the weekly candle just started. The weekly candle just started on Tesla. Pull this up a little bit. However, additional downside here. The daily TSI will cross to the downside. Then once it crosses, then the objective will be trade, look for trade opportunities to the downside, and or selling calls, and or buying puts, and or for that kind of stuff. So anyway, just take a look at that. And then my potential free trade or stock that I'm looking at, we had a really good signal on Friday. Haven't really got a okay, here's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at HQY on a weekly chart. It looks like it is really like here's a nice hammer that happened last week. So are we hammering at a bottom at about 50.23? TSI on the weekly chart is right down against the lower reversal area at -42, and looks like it's wanting to turn around. Now, hasn't done it all yet. However, we have enough information to say, okay, my TSI on my daily chart has now reversed to the upside. I can start planning, and what would be a fairly good plan of attack for this. Remove that that is basically just draw a little trend line across these highs. That is not a trend line, that is draw a little trend line above across those highs for if I break through that. That would be one opportunity to get in. What's my other option on that is I also have a nice little trend line coming up from the bottoms here, and also I have a level of support that is right at about 54, right there, 54.20 to 54.50. And that would be another, let's see, open, yeah, 54.51. And that would be another area to potentially get into a trade, anticipating that we are going to move to the upside with the, again, I don't want to be prematurely anticipating, but I'm going to be watching this very closely. If it does give us an opportunity to get back in, our stop would be, worst case scenario would be down below 52.50. So just keep that in mind. Very small stop loss. And then last but not least, I'll just talk really quickly. I'm watching primarily the Qs on the indexes. Very similar, across the board on the indexes. What did the Qs do for us today? Well, on a weekly chart, we have our TSI moving back up. However, on a daily chart, what happened? Well, dadgummit. There you go. Blow this up a little bit. What happened? Did we get a TSI cross? No. Did we get a TSI tick down? No. Are we in between support, at resistance and symmetry of move? Yes. Do we have a candlestick reversal pattern? No. Are we currently in a little bit of a bear flag? Yes. So we'll just continue to watch this. We'd like to see some flushing to the downside. However, until that flushing to the downside happens, we may just get a little bit of a pullback here, and see ya. I'm out of here. We get basically a flush and breaking that trend line. It may come back and retest, but we'll look to retest back down to about 145. Okay, I think that keeps it short, sweet for the day. I hope you enjoyed this session. Again, if you have comments, please just leave your notes on the Active Trend Trading Facebook page, or you can send me an email. And how do you send me an email? Send me an email at right there, dww@activetrendtrading.com. And as always, trade wisely, trade profitably. Welcome to 2019. It's going to be an awesome year. God bless everybody. Aloha.